Welcome to Fictional History 101. I'm your fictional professor, Aaron Johnson. Today, we'll be having an extra credit lecture for Mobile Suit Gundam. This topic isn't long enough to cover in a full lesson, so we'll just have a small side lecture focusing on a specific topic. While it won't be important for the overall series, today we'll be covering the Principality of Zeon's Zaku line of mobile suits. While we went over it a little bit previously, I wanted to delve into the Zaku line a little more in depth, as it's a fairly important line of mobile suits that would go on to shape mobile suit development for decades to come. The poster child for mobile suits was the Zaku. Made famous during the 1-Year War as the first mobile suit to see widespread use, the Zaku line of mobile suits would be considered the face of Zeon mobile suits for decades to come. Its signature glowing eye would strike fear into Federation forces, and be seen as a sign of Zeon oppression for years to come. However, for having such a lasting legacy, the Zaku came from surprisingly humble origins, and almost didn't come about at all. We've already covered a bit of the origin of mobile suits, starting with the mobile worker designs produced by the Autonomous Republic of Zeon. These early, lumbering construction machines would be refined into the YMS-03 WAF, and later the MS-04 Bugu. However, it was at this point that the Republic began looking to turn over development of their mainline mobile suits to one of its manufacturing companies. There were 3 companies seeking to win Zeon's military contract: Zimod, Zeonic, and MIP. While MIP would initially try to put out an agile fighter craft, more in line with the conventional combat craft of the time, Zeonic and Zimod began designing mobile suits based on the Bugu and the WAF. Prior to the start of the war, 2 mobile suits were designed: Zeonic Zaku and Zimod Zuda. In early tests, it seemed that the Zuda was superior to the Zaku. It boasted similar performance to the Zaku, and was able to carry the same weaponry and equipment, but the Zuda had one major edge. The Zuda was equipped with Zimod's powerful Jupiter engine. This engine had considerably greater thrust and power generation over the Zaku's reactor. This gave the Zuda a major edge over the Zaku in terms of speed. With the power of the Jupiter engine, the Zuda was the clear frontrunner. However, Zimod found that the Jupiter engine suffered greatly when pushed to its limits, and ran the risks of breaking the prototype Zuda apart. During a test flight, one pilot died when his machine tore itself apart under the strain of the Jupiter engine. When this came to light, Zimod was passed over for the contract, and Zeon's primary mobile suit order went to Zeonic and their Zaku. The first mass-produced mobile suit Zeon would use would be the Zaku. Zaku 1s would serve in minor roles throughout the war, typically serving as reserve units and in other, less important roles such as logistics, loading, or sometimes guarding rear-guard transports. During the 1-week battle, they would become associated with the colony gassing attacks, as Zaku 1s were used to breach colonies and deploy nerve gas. These suits were used in some early engagements of the 1-Year War as well, such as the lunar battle during which Dr. Minovsky attempted to defect to the Federation. But they would largely be put aside at the start of the 1-Year War in favor of the upgraded Zaku II. While largely similar to the Zaku 1, the Zaku II would add a shield to the right shoulder, some short spikes on the left shoulder, and redesign the head, granting it greater forward visibility. There were some other minor changes to the exterior as well, but overall it boasted some modest improvements over the Zaku 1's overall performance. The Zaku II was equipped with better weaponry, replacing the 105mm machine gun with a 120mm machine gun, in addition to other weapons that began to enter service at the same time. While other mobile suits would enter service to replace or complement the Zaku, there would also be a number of variants of the Zaku II. Specialized variants were developed for use in different environments, such as the desert and marine type, as well as the generalized J ground type, which removed many of the maneuvering thrusters the original suits used. Other variants would be used to supplement the Zeon forces, such as the Zaku cannon, which mounted superior targeting equipment and a 180mm cannon on the shoulder. There were even a number of specialized units meant for combat in zero gravity, such as the high mobility types and the F-type Zaku. The Zaku would also be used as a testbed of Zeon technology during the 1-Year War. Some prototype units used the Zaku II as a base for Saikamu and beam weaponry tests, such as the Saikamu Zaku and Action Zaku, though it's debatable if either of these ever saw combat or use. Dozens of prototypes, variants, and other alterations were built using the Zaku II as a base. Even the Earth Federation would develop the versatile RMS-106 Hyzak from the Zaku II in the years after the One-Year War, as well as using designs for the beam-equipped Action Zaku. While the Zaku II would eventually be replaced by Zimod's Dom and Rikdal mobile suits, it would still serve as the mainstay of the Zeon military simply due to how numerous the suits were and the number of pilots that were familiar with their use. Interestingly enough, its replacements also had their roots in the Zaku line. While the Zaku itself would be upgraded, Zimod would begin work on a competing mobile suit line, the Goof. The Goof's design was originally based around the Zaku II, and early prototypes even implemented many of its parts. While the Goof would be passed over in favor of the Dom, many of its designs, and by extension the Zaku's, would transition into the new mobile suit lines. By the end of the war, the Zaku would be developed into one of the most capable mobile suits Zeon would field during the One-Year War, the Gelgoog. Regardless, even as Rikdom and Gelgoog production increased, Zaku IIs were still seen in overwhelming numbers in almost every Zeon engagement. Even Zaku Is would see use in battles as mobile suit supplies began to dwindle. Although the Zaku and Zaku II would be eclipsed by the many mobile suits that would come after them, they were undeniably the face of the Zeon military and, in many ways, the skeleton of designs that would come after. The Zaku served as a versatile and reliable platform that enabled Zeon to make the tremendous gains it did early in the One-Year War. The fact that the Zaku II would still see use decades after the end of the One-Year War speaks volumes to its legacy and its continued use as a weapon of war. It's important to remember that the Zaku did more than just serve as the face of Zeon. It fundamentally changed the face of warfare in the Universal Century. If it were not for the wild success of the Zaku II, mobile suits may have been passed over in favor of conventional ships and tanks. Instead, mobile suits would form the basis of almost all military planning in the Universal Century. Thank you for joining us for our extra credit lecture. I hope you learned a little something about the Zaku line and mobile suits in general. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at fictionalhistory101@gmail.com or visit the class Facebook page, Fictional History 101. Thank you again for coming to class, and please don't forget to study. The intro and outro music for this class is Labyrinth by Enrico Altavia, courtesy of freesoundtrackmusic.com.